Good morning and welcome to good morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody. Welcome to the IT Hour hosted by JumpCloud. Today, we're going to have a fantastic show where we are going to cover some updates around JumpCloud. We have obviously Tom Bridge here at JumpCloud. We're going to talk a lot about our new patch management solution that just launched and was just announced yesterday. That's going to be the bulk of our show. We are going to spend a little bit of time, though, going over some community updates that we have with Becky Scott. We also have some really exciting news around our meetups coming up next week as well, which is amazing. I want to just give everyone some heads up on some webinars that we have coming up, as well as some job opportunities here at JumpCloud that might be interesting to you. So we're going to give everyone just a few moments to trickle in, get their water and their coffee on this beautiful Friday morning or afternoon, and I hope that we can give you a good, entertaining 45 minutes to an hour before we kick off for the weekend. So my name is Ben Garrison, technical champion here at JumpCloud, and I'm joined with Becky Scott, our senior community manager, as well as Tom Bridge, product manager for is Apple, right? Or Apple devices.
Correct.
Yep. I always get titles mixed up. I'm so sorry. Don't hate me.
Well, it's funny. One of the people I talked with this week called me a principal product manager, which is my title, except they spelled it like principles, like you have principles. And I was like, we can't have people joking about that. So
yeah, that's funny.
I am the principal, is in the lead product manager for our Apple space.
Awesome. I just also a caveat: IT Hour is an interactive conversation. This is not, I repeat, not a webinar. So this is interactive. This is basically like me, Becky, Tom, and the 21 of you. We all just raided a coffee shop and we're all talking about some things together. I'm just going to bring up so think of it kind of like a meetup, I guess. I don't know. But we do have some things we want to talk about, and I think that those are going to be exciting. So if you do want to participate in this conversation, obviously there is the chat on the right-hand side. We do have an ask a question button. Hey, if you want to come on stage and talk here with us, I would love that. I haven't had anybody yet, so maybe today is the day. Just know that if you do come on stage, your voice, your face, your likeness will be recorded. That'll probably be on YouTube as well at some point in time. So if you don't consent to that, then please disconnect now or don't come on to the stage. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Becky Scott real fast so we can do a quick rundown on some community and meetup updates that we have going on at JumpCloud for the next 30 days or so, next week or so.
Yeah, really exciting. Thanks, Ben. So for community, you all know that we always have our JumpCloud lounge on Slack, ready, willing, and able to help you out there. But we are launching some forums toward the end of the month, and we'll be looking for early adopters, beta users coming up soon, and also looking for feedback. We've got a couple of things coming up, some ideas that we are planning to run by people. So if you love to give feedback, let us know. And if you want to join a little bit early and be a founding member, you can do that too. You can just send us an email or ping us on Slack in the lounge. But you can email us community@jumpcloud.com. We will put that in the chat. It's over there on my screen. It might be over there on your screen. And you can send us a note and we will get you hooked up ahead of time. Meetups. Oh, this is cool. This is really exciting. We have 3 meetup events scheduled next week. February 8th is going to be in Chicago. Ben, can I say who's going to be helping us out with that? Have we said that yet? Can we say that? Can we reveal who it is?
I guess we can. I mean, I'm going to be at all of them helping to host, but we do have some hosts. So if you want to see my beautiful face more next week, then come to the meetup.
Wait, Ben, we want people to come.
Yeah.
Right. No, of course. Yes.
Yes. Let's share.
We also have a customer in Chicago who's going to be helping us host it. And we're very excited about that. I don't know if we have publicized that or not.
Well, Alexa said let's share. So I think we have Kyle McKenna, right, from Cars.
From
Did I get that right? Yep.
Yeah, from cars.com. Kyle is going to be hosting, and he's going to be a part of that. We're very happy to be doing that. And on
Kyle's
the
awesome.
9th,
He's good people.
Yeah, he really is. He's a lot of fun. And on the 9th in DC, what? Who's going to be there?
I'll be there, and I'll be co-hosting that one as well. So I'm excited to talk with our DC crowd. This is a great place to come talk about how you're using JumpCloud. Maybe ask some questions on how can I be using this better? How can we figure out some cool ways to work together on how you're implementing the solution? And I think that's going to be a big part of it. One of the great things I love about our environment and our community is that we share, and that sharing makes us all stronger. And so that is, a big part of it. And, it's a great chance to also just meet people who are using the same thing. Building that kind of community bond really matters. And, here in DC, we got a lot of really interesting IT opportunities. We have some federal space environments that have different kinds of requirements for those kind of things. So I'm looking forward to talking to everybody about all sorts of wonderful things out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also going to be talking about other IT topics too at some of these meetups. So bring your other IT questions around, being an admin, whatever problems you're trying to solve right now. And we'll be talking about those too. And on the 10th, we're going to have a meetup in Austin. These are all virtual events. That's where we're doing our planning, and we're going to be talking about what you want to see going forward in the meetups, and what type of topics are really top of mind for you. And we are going to have one kicking off in person later in the month in Denver, and we're really excited about that one too. But 3 next week: Chicago, DC, and Austin. But since they're virtual, you can go ahead and join any of them. In fact, we have a West Coast straggler coming to the DC event, not to call anybody out, but I thought it was cool that, hey, anyone can sign up and join the virtual ones. So
that's right.
Go to meetup.com, and we'll put that in the show notes as well. And you can sign up for any of them. And if you don't see your city and you want to help get one started in your area, then let us know, and we will help you with that too, because the more the merrier. What were you going to say, Tom? You were going to say something about the DC one.
We're good.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Becky, so much for that. Exciting things. So now just to quickly transition until we get into the thing that everybody is really excited here to talk about, which is really just more of me. Just kidding. No. So we do have a couple of job openings here at JumpCloud that our recruiters really wanted to get out there to the community. 2 of them, the top of mind. The first one is our site reliability engineer. This position works with it's basically going to be helping teams identify, measure important KPIs in your service, and work to define service level agreements around the services and improve production landscape for existing services. So I'll be posting that here as well in the chat. And then our next job posting that we have is our senior security engineer, which is super awesome. Focus on JumpCloud's product security in the security engineering team. You have pivotal influence in driving secure coding and SDLC efforts, secure code reviews, project security design reviews, secure engineering best practices training, and assessing JumpCloud's new projects as necessary. So if any of those job positions sound interesting to you, feel free to go and apply. We need to fill these, and we're looking to fill these right away. So good luck to you, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Well, and I'll also point out that, JumpCloud is a really great place to work. And, one of the things that I've really enjoyed since coming here is, we've got really great benefits. We've got a really good culture too. And, the organizational culture that's really built on, hey, are you your best self? Are you able to be your best self here? Are you able to actually be yourself at work? And those are all important questions to me, and that I hope that my coworkers, can be their best selves at work and can be their actual selves at work. And that matters to a lot of organizations. I think that, some organizations don't always allow for that. One of the other great things to look about, and you can see them in our job descriptions, we are a Colorado-based company, which means we're required to post things like salary range and benefit structures and things like that associated with the job. So you can get a really good idea about what it's like to work at JumpCloud just by reading our job description and getting all sorts of great benefits, as well as, an understanding of what the job description looks like. So I hope that folks will, come consider working with us. I'd really enjoy working with all of you.
Yeah. Remote first. And you can definitely be yourself. I mean, my hair's purple, if you can't tell. So, I mean, I get to be myself. And I get to work with these two yahoos. Right, so, that's pretty fun.
I might be wearing Baby Yoda slippers right now. There's no one knows that. So who knows? Just kidding. It's the perks. It's the perks, Tom.
It's the perks.
It's the perks. Okay, and then a couple of last couple of announcements before we get into the fun is we do have some upcoming webinars here pretty soon. These are webinars, so not nearly as fun as ours, but still very, very cool. I like them a lot. Dor and Mari, they do a fantastic job at running these, and we have some fantastic guests. We do have one on February 10th, which is the IT and end users challenges, trust, and time management. So actually, I think we're still looking for an in the field IT professional to be part of that webinar. So if you are interested, if you are one of those IT people that are in the field, and you want to participate and be a panelist speaker, please reach out to me in the Slack lounge. The link is right below Becky's box, I believe, there, her webcam. Click that and join the lounge. If you're not already in there, I'm pretty sure that everybody here is in there, but just in case. So here is the link to that webinar, and that's going to be on February 10th. And then a little bit further out, but still something we want to talk about is we do have our Zero Trust Security, a reality channel perspective. This is on February 22nd. You'll have a panel discussion where they'll cover Zero Trust Framework is how to position its value to a variety of clients and the real world implementation scenarios. So always love a Zero Trust conversation. You'll always find me in those hallways, just being a fly on the wall. So definitely go check those out as well. Cool. So we got the updates out. We got the job postings. We got the webinars, the community updates. We got the meetup updates. And now, drum roll, please. We're going to hand it over to our one, our only Tom Bridge to talk about JumpCloud patch management.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting week here at JumpCloud, where we actually get to talk a little bit about what we've been working on. And just to give you an idea of how long this has been in the works, I showed up in April and we started working on this shortly after I arrived. It's been top of mind for us for a long time, and really what it comes down to is we all know that the most secure machine that you've got is one that's off and in your desk drawer, and the second most secure machine is one that's been patched recently. And so what we wanted to figure out was, hey, we're JumpCloud. We manage your devices for you. How can we make sure that your devices are up to date so that you don't have to pay somebody else to help you with that? JumpCloud can help you with that. And so, what we really wanted to focus on was, hey, how do we build something that is easy for our admins to use, that is really straightforward for our end users of JumpCloud who experience the kind of management that their admins lead to get a good experience out of this process. And so we set about building up a tool that would let us do that. And what we really settled on was a set of automated patch policies that you could put into place for your organization. And, one of the things that we heard during our research phase talking to customers was, hey, what we really want is a way for IT to test this first, maybe let it go out to a little bit larger group of people after that, and then have a general availability group. And then maybe, that we've got these 20 machines that are really critical to our business. We can't afford to take them offline, even for an hour, for patch management, more than once or twice a quarter. And so that kind of led us to think down the path of, hey, how can we do this? How can we meet all these needs all at once? And so, that was where we wanted to start. But again, the name of the product that we've released is called Patch Management. And of course, you're thinking to yourself, Tom, you're starting with operating system stuff. Where's the rest of it? I'm so glad you asked, because we have a really robust plan for what happens next. So what we're releasing first is the operating system patch management for Windows and for Mac OS. We're going to follow on with that with a version of patch management policies for Ubuntu Linux for the desktop environment. and that's going to be out in the March timeframe, give or take. And then, from there, we're turning our eyes on compliance reporting, because it's never enough to, it's most important to provide, the patch infrastructure first, so that we can actually do the thing on the workstations that we manage and keep them up to date. Secondly, we're going to turn our eyes on how we report on that, so that you, as the admin, if your CISO says, hey, what's our patch level compliance like right now? You'll be able to go into the JumpCloud dashboard, build a report there, and download it and send it to your CISO. Or, make an Excel spreadsheet and send it to your CISO. Or, download a JSON file and parse it yourself and turn that into, a dashboard internally to your organization, so that you've got those things directly from an API, directly from a PDF viewpoint, as well as, a CSV that, every Excel person can read and turn into, a comprehensive report for your organization. So that's where we're starting. From there, obviously you can't ever just stop at the operating system. You got to move forward from there. How many people in the upper right-hand corner of their Chrome window right now have that little red lozenge that says update? Right? Like I've seen that one on a couple of screen shares with my, there we go. Sorry. I've got an AI camera. And so when I make certain gestures, it does things. And so,
I think your camera actually just called you out and said that you're one that doesn't have an updated browser there, Tom.
I will say that might have been true earlier this week. It is no longer true. I've started to follow my own nag cycle, right? Like I think that's a big part of it. And so what we really wanted to focus on first was the operating system. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about patching Windows first. When we talk about patching Windows, Microsoft gives us a lot of great tools. The Windows software update domain for controlling settings on Windows is really robust. You can do crazy things with it. You can basically say only bug people during certain hours of the day. You can say if it's off hours, you can do some interesting things there as well as automatically restart their machine, go through some processes to really go through this adventure and get people to go through this. We've added some nice enhancements there to our existing policy, mostly focused on doing the forced restarts that come along with this. And so look for more things there as we get into the product itself. On the macOS side of things, what we had to try and figure out was, well, how do we do this update? Apple gives us MDM commands. MDM commands are a way to do this. They are certainly a way that some of our competitors have said, this is how we're going to do patch management. You can force an update and, deliver the software down to the machine and restart the machine and engage with it. Forcing that update on macOS may lead to data loss, however, because you can deliver the update and you can say install the update. But if you set it with a hard deadline, the user's not going to have a chance to close out their work first. And if that happens to someone in leadership who hasn't done their updates and they're in the middle of a presentation, that may be a resume generating event for you. That's what we wanted to try and avoid. And so what we figured out we had to do was, well, how do we do this without restarting the machine? And so thanks to the incredible community of Mac admins that are out there, there's an open source project for this called Nudge. And I just want to thank Eric Gomez from Uber for starting this project, for building it up, for really making it an incredible tool to work with from our perspective. And what we've done is we're deploying Nudge like a lot of other IT organizations are already doing. But then we've also built our own custom Go controller to control that app so that we can set rolling deadlines so that the admin only needs to set the policy once. The admin sets the policy, and that determines grace period, and it determines forcing function on doing those updates. And so what we've done is we are delivering all of Nudge in intact, and then we are making some updates to the text that are on the screen, and doing some of those kind of things through the common Nudge control interface. And then we've built our own tool to kind of make that a good experience for our end users, because admins don't want to have to remember which version of the operating system is current or secure. We're putting that up on the screen for you in the release train section of the new patch management policies. And then on top of that, we're letting you set a policy for your organization that basically says, by default, for the group that I'm in, set a delay period during which they will never see that update, so that when Apple releases a new update, if 12.3 were to drop tomorrow, you could basically say nobody gets to see that for 10 days. Nobody gets to see that for 20 days. Apple gives us that ability up to 90 days. And then we provide that grace period as well, so that you can say you get 2 weeks, or you get 10 days, or you get like 3 days to do the updates if they're serious. And so at that point, we're engaging Nudge to do that process. And we're guiding you down the garden path to getting your end users to do those updates. Because again, we want to make this a really great experience for our end users, and being prompted to do your updates with a simple, easy to read message that clearly identifies, what the problem is, what the user's action needs to be, and provides a beautiful blue button that says update device. And when they click the button, they open up the system and off they go from there.
Couple of questions real quick, Tom, from one from me, kind of playing devil's advocate here just a little bit. So for those people that are listening that might not know what Nudge is, or have not been able to use Nudge in the past, and I know this is the base of a lot of everything that we're doing here with our patch management. What are some of the key differences between Nudge and what we're doing with our patch management offering and solution as it stands now?
Again, if you were doing this on your own and you just delivered Nudge and a profile of control Nudge, you would have to constantly keep that profile up to date with the target version that you wanted to support in your organization. You would need to do that on a per platform basis. You would need to do that on a per group basis. It would be a lot of config file management that admins don't want to do. Admins basically want to say, I want to set this as a 10-day cycle, and build a cycle together. And then, if there's a problem with an update, go ahead and change the rules a little bit. And our policies will be updated immediately on the end user devices, which recycle the Nudge controller and essentially say, okay, don't prompt for that update. It's fine if they don't update. So, one of the important questions that's associated with all of this is what happens when you get to the end of the Nudge cycle, right? Because I think that's a really important behavior for us to call out specifically. Because when you hit the end of your grace period, the dialogue is no longer dismissible. This is a very aggressive notification. If you have someone who will have ignored at this point, if there's a 72-hour, grace period, if you've set it for 3 days, they will get prompted every hour and 40 minutes during that first day, or first and second days. So that will average during a work day, something like a dozen notifications. Once we get to the conclusion, once we get into the last 24 hours, it's every 10 minutes. We're aggressive with this. And then once you get to the end of that process, they can't dismiss the dialogue. It will become hard to use their machine. I'm not saying that users can't be creative. I'm not saying that users can't, move that window around, because they can. So, what we're saying is users do get some ability in organizations to determine when the right time is. Admins get the ability to make that harder to do at that point. So there will be a way for us to essentially force that conclusion later in the year. And, essentially, if you have a user who's truly scofflaw about these kind of things, and you've decided that, okay, the CISO said do it, you'll be able to push the button on that user. And it will kill their login session, do the download of the update, and complete the update and bring them back to the start.
And that's another great segue for the next question. We got the chat's firing, so I'm gonna prioritize these for you, Tom. On this particular patch management release, one of the biggest questions is, can you force the update to happen, or is it just a nudge? And do we have plans to do like an actual force update in the future?
When we release, you will have the ability to nudge users, and after which a period of time, if they, on the conclusion of the grace period, it will be complicated to use your computer if you haven't updated. I'm not saying impossible, I'm just saying complicated. We will provide the forcing function, the ball peen hammer that you use in the alley on the guy's knees. That's how you have to think about the forcible updates. Sometimes you have to go through and do it at that level. What we want is the polite request that you would normally do in an office. You'd walk by, see an older version of the operating system on somebody's screen. Hey, could you please do your updates? That was how we approached it. Or a Slack message that says, hey, we noticed that you're still on 11.6.0. 11.6.3 is the current operating system. Can you please do your update today, please? And go through that process. We're saying please for now. We recognize that there's a time when please is not required.
Absolutely.
So we're saying please for now. And I will say that when we tested this on ourselves, I will say that when we deployed this last Thursday for all of our macOS Monterey users, we decided that was the right test group to use for this. When we deployed that out to their workstations, we deployed it out to 108 workstations. We had 80% compliance within 48 hours. So, when we think about, doing this in a timely fashion, the average patch takes 43 days for an organization to deliver within their organization. 43 days, 6 weeks. If we're doing 80% of that in the first 48 hours, that's a lot more peace of mind for our admins. And we think that that's valuable to our admins.
Absolutely.
So that's a big part of it. And I see some comments in the chat about, can we have in the future or think to have compliance status and reports? That's the next phase. We really want to be able to give you essentially a list of, this is the compliance status of the organization. I am 90% compliance with current patch policy. Here are the 10% of people who aren't. Here are the updates that they are missing. And that's what we're intending to bring to the table. In a way that you can download as a PDF or as a CSV file or as a JSON object.
Awesome.
Joe asks a really good question, though. Will this handle major updates?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're thinking that way, Joe. The behavior that Apple has given us for the moment is kind of unique, right? Starting about 10 days ago, we eclipsed the 90-day window during which you can delay the release of macOS Monterey. And so right now, if you were to use this tool today and the end user was an admin user, the user would be prompted to upgrade first to Monterey. Apple wants you on Monterey. Apple says that the most secure operating system that they provide is the most recent version of the operating system. Not Big Sur, not Catalina. This they really think of this as requiring Monterey. They want you on Monterey. You may not want you on Monterey, and Pam Lefkowitz had a really great article about why you might not. And if you don't have that, we should find that and throw that in the notes, because there are things you need to think about as an admin when there are new major releases. So from that perspective, what we want to try and do here is we're going to guide you down the garden path for the most part. End users are going to follow Apple's guidelines in some cases, and they'll be triggered to update. Obviously, that won't work if you've got the Monterey blocker policy assigned to your workstations, and they'll need to click a little bit deeper into the more info item to see the 11.6.3 update that was dropped on Tuesday last.
Yeah,
so there are some things there that there's some nuances, and we'll have plenty of documentation for everybody when this comes out.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. The documentation is going to be fantastic. We do have one question, and then one more question, and then we can transition into just showing what admins will be able to do if that's possible.
Yep.
This answer, I can probably give the short version of it, and then Tom can maybe give the little bit more elongated answer, or the flavor text. But the question is it going to be possible to basically allow the JumpCloud patch management server to receive the updates and then push to say a WSUS server? I would probably go on a limb and just say hey, we hope that you don't need a WSUS server. That's kind of our end goal there. So I don't think that's something that's going to be in our immediate plans, but maybe Tom, you can.
Yeah, that's not on our list right now. We really want to focus on getting those updates directly from the environment. Now, if your machine is configured to use a WSUS updater, we can definitely take the catalog from there, and we're triggering based on what the policy, will allow us to deliver at that point. Again, I'm on the Apple side of the line, so I will defer to my Windows colleagues, Scott Reed and Himanshu Sharma on that. But, drop me an email, tom.bridge@jumpcloud.com with a little more context there, and I'll get you a good answer for what we're thinking and for where we are.
I think the biggest thing, I think he might have just edited his question. Actually, I think where he was trying to go was more so around testing. So with these updates, is there a time and a period where it gives the admins the ability to test before enforcing the update, so that way they can ensure there's no break fixes like the Windows, the ability to elevate loophole.
Yeah. So, there are some, good things for us to think about here. And I'm trying to figure out, can I share my screen with this chat? Is that a thing oh, it is. There's a button.
There's a button.
All right. So I'm going to click the button and I'm going to switch over here. And can you see my screen now?
Yeah. Crowdcast is a little weird. You will have to maybe.
I'm going to zoom in.
Bump it. There we go. Yep.
Awesome. So if we think about a real world situation with that January update that you mentioned there, Corey, what we're looking at here is just a normal day. Let's say that this is January 10th, 2022. And most of my machines are hanging out on 19.0.44.1415. That's the build that was current as of that day. And I can say that for my Vanguard group, I'm current on same for my early adopter, my general adopter. My late adopter has a longer delay cycle and might still be on build 1387. This is 19.0.44 is the that's equivalent to Windows 10 21H2. So that is the most current major feature release of Windows 10. So on January 11th, they released a build 1466, which IT gets first, right? No days delay for the Vanguard group. That's the group that IT is assigned to. We're giving them 3 days grace to install it. But on that day, they install 1466. There's a bug in it. And that bug was somewhat famous. It pushed out a problem with the L2TP VPN customer client. So that essentially you can no longer connect to an L2TP VPN, even if you had everything set up right. It would just say, sorry, not going to do that. IT tests this build first and conducts user acceptance testing. The next day, they find that there's a problem. So Vanguard is still hanging out here on 19.0.44.1466. Everybody else still on 14.15. Everybody else hasn't been given the clear, the coast is clear announcement. And so therefore, they're not even prompted to update. And so IT updates those policies for early adopter, general adopter, and late adopter from a 7 days delay to a 30 days delay, or a 50 days delay, or 60 days delay, giving Microsoft 30 days to come up with a solution for this. As it turns out, they only needed 5. And so as a result, 1469 is released on January 17th. And so IT would then get that update, download it, test it out, see if there was a problem there, and essentially say, oh, thank God, all is clear. But we're going to let this one soak just a little bit longer. We're going to let IT test this through an extended test period. And so we're going to say, all right, cool. We're going to say week to 10 days for us to test this out before we get to that deployment sort of structure. If we look at, what happens next, a couple of days later, they basically decide, hey, look, build 1469 is just fine. We're going to reset those policies back to where they were. No days, 3 days, 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 7 days, 30 days, 7 days. And so this is what the build structure is going to be like at that point. Everybody's going to end up on 1469. IT makes a call out at this point and figures out, oh, hey, we need to move the late adopter machines into the general adoption policy for this period. If you've got a dedicated device group for that, that's what we're applying the policy to. And so at that point, everybody's now up to 1469, which is the most secure, most functional build of Windows for the organization. And then they're going to let that soak after a few more days, February 3rd, which would have been yesterday. They're going to set everything back to where it was at the start. 19.0.44.1469 is the build of the day. That's what everybody's using at that point. And the cycle continues anew. So that's a little bit about how that works. And now let's see. I will stop sharing. There we go.
Yep. And then this will make a little bit more sense once we dive into the console, and you can kind of give us maybe a rundown of what that looks like on that level. But I think from what I understand, it looks like basically, hey, you're going to have device groups. You're going to apply device groups to different levels, to different patch policies. And then your IT group is going to get it because they're going to have the fastest update. Everyone else is going to be pushed out for a period of time. You test, and then you can deploy to those device groups for the rest of the fleet. Seems like a pretty easy solution to a complex problem. So, yeah. Way to go.
All right. So we go look at what this looks like in the product. Shall I share a screen again here? Let me just get up on the screen.
I can either do it too if that helps.
I got you. Okay. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and once again share
You
the
also
screen.
share just a window too, I believe, or a tab.
Oh,
if that
yeah, look at
helps.
that. I can share just a Chrome tab. That's even better.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So here we are on the new Devices Home. This is something that everybody gets. The Devices Home gives you a good look at your fleet. And so at this point, you can say, hey, look, I've got some Windows, but I'm mostly Mac OS. You can see here I've got the build breakdown for my Mac OS environment. I've got a 10.15.7 Mac. I've got a 10.14.6 Mac, a couple of 11.6.2, one 11.6.3, and a 12.2. And so those are all of the versions. We're going to make that a little bit fancier. We're going to call out the individual build name and show you the build IDs and use the actual release name so that you can always remember which release goes with macOS Monterey at that point, and kind of lives there. We're going to key that based up on, activity. And so these are the machines that are available in the last 7 days. If we open up the other systems right here, you can see the last 30 days. And I have a bunch more devices that have been sunset that don't have version information available to them. But here I can see the devices that are in use because, again, we really wanted to focus on the most secure machine is the one that's often in your closet, right? Until such time as you turn it back on. We don't want to bang a shoe on the desk and essentially say, hey, I need you to pull all the loaners out of the closet to turn them on to update them, because I don't necessarily think that's a great use of IT personnel time. You want to make those machines ready when the time comes. So we're not going to count those against your fleet distribution graph here. And give you those things. So we're going to show you the release trains here at the bottom. We're going to show you the most recent release for, Mac OS as it stands right there, for Windows here, and show you some build information. But really, at the end of the day, what we want you to do is go down and take a look at the policies. So when we look at the policy management page, you can see now up at the top, we have this lovely tab that says OS Patch Management. And you can see here our OS release train schedule again, just to show you, hey, this is what you're measuring against. This is where you're going to want to be. And then we can collapse that out, move it out of the way just so you don't need to see it on a given day. When you start, if you have no policies, we're going to build you some, because we do want this to be an easy to use tool for you. We want to set up some of these basic policies for you. And so here we're going to set up for you a set of policies like the early adopter policy, general adoption, late adopter, and the Vanguard. And so if we look at the early adopter policy, you can see that we are enabling automatic minor OS version upgrades here at this point. We're setting it for a 7-day delay. That 7-day delay means no systems will try and download the latest update for 7 days. And then once they do see an update, we want to give them 15 days to do the update. You can also in here delay major operating system version upgrades, although we'll talk about a nuance there in just a second, or non-operating system Apple software updates. So like Safari and the device updates that come along with the operating system. Those are things that you can actually put a delay on in case you're concerned about. From here, you can actually go in and assign this device, assign policies to this given group of devices. So I can use my all devices group and say, hey, that's just a group of devices that I've got in here. I can then look and just apply this to an individual device as well. Sorry, my VMs are all off. I had to restart my VM farm yesterday. I haven't turned them all back on yet. But then you'll also get status results as those policies are assigned out to individual devices. And so, if we go and we look here on our, Vanguard group, our policy is a little bit different. On the Windows side, you can see that we've got an update, enforcement, and restart settings so that we can set a deadline for restart. 7 days, that's what you get. We will say that, hey, we're not going to do the auto restart with logged in users for scheduled updates. And essentially, we can at that point say, hey, look, we're not going to make you do this automatically, but we are going to set you a deadline for it. We will turn off auto restart during the active hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which we decided is the business day here at AFC Richmond, which is the tenant that we're in. We can also specify active hours for auto restarts. So we can say, hey, look, that's only going to be 10 active hours. That's going to be fine. And then we can also set this last box that says always automatically restart at the scheduled time. So that when there's a scheduled time for this, we can essentially give you, 15 minutes of, 15 minutes after it's been installed, where you can close out all your work before it does the commit and completes the restart process here. So there's a lot of settings that are available for Windows admins here. So that kind of takes you through what this looks like in the product. You're going to see these policies represented in your fleet distribution. You're going to be able to see at that point how quickly systems go from this wide disparate amount of releases to what it looks like on the other side.
So a couple questions that came in the chat. Can you exclude specific KBs on the Windows side?
You cannot exclude specific KBs, but you can roll them back. So that essentially at that point, if you end up with the situation like with build 1466, if you need to roll that back, our commands tool will support the WUSA command line option for Windows, so that you can essentially do WUSA uninstall for the KB or for those individual KB.
Nice.
Caesar asked a question. You want to ask that one there, Ben?
Yeah. Can it be set to adopt? Can it be set to adopt the active hours each user has customized on their machine?
No, that is not currently a feature. If you're really interested in that, Caesar, please drop me a note. Because I do think that we want to be able to support that, especially for organizations that, may have people working on a common set of time zones but living outside them. So I think I can definitely see a use case for that. I would love to talk more about it.
I have a question. This is one that I was just kind of thinking about yesterday. So we already have an update policy and policy management for Windows that has a lot of those different types of configurations to configure the Windows update policies on a machine. If an organization already has that particular policy distributed to their fleet, what happens if they then enable the patch management policies?
Say that again.
So we already have a policy.
Yes.
For Windows.
Oh, so what happens then?
Yeah, we already have it distributed. We want to do patch management. Does it remove that policy and put the patch management, or what would happen then?
We're not removing any of your existing policies because we want people to be able to try this feature without too much difficulty. We don't want them to have to go through that delete process on the old policies. What we would recommend, though, is that you descope any groups that are assigned to those old policies before starting.
Okay. So descope and then reapply.
Yeah, okay. I would say descope and then reapply the new policy.
Fair.
We are capable of understanding that these policies are there. The JumpCloud agent is smart enough to handle that. But yeah, I would definitely say at that point, you're probably best served by descoping and rescoping a new policy.
Okay. One question from Alex. In the event we have a release like 11.6 in September that patched the vulnerability used by Pegasus, can we now or in the future make a one-time requirement for all users to install within 48 hours, like a day zero type thing?
Right. So a 0-day kind of situation. And then, obviously those are the kind of things that we're looking at. For now, what we would recommend is just moving everybody into your Vanguard group at that point, which will then follow the fastest policy at that point. So essentially at that point, just switch your device groups around as to what's applied to the policy. That's the effect, right? We are looking at better ways to make that happen. We thought that this would be the quickest way to market and to get this feature into people's hands in such a way that they can actually use that. We are aware that there are cases where you may want to do that kind of thing. Because we're aware of 0 days don't just happen to operating systems; they happen to browsers, they happen to tools like Zoom. Those are the kind of things that we're going to need to be able to support for third-party app management, which is something that we're going to be entering into a little bit later in the year.
Beautiful. And I guess the one question that I got the other day was, now with mobile, will this be something that we're looking to try to connect with iOS and Android?
So iOS only gives us a few controls for this. iOS, if you want to manage the software update of the device, you need to be on a supervised device. As of yet, JumpCloud does not support supervision. We're going to be changing that this month. So in the next couple of weeks, look for a release on automated device enrollment for iOS and iPadOS. And so that is something that we're looking at. We can only forcibly update systems that are supervised that way. There are other ways for BYOD users or for corporate enrolled devices that are done through the admin dashboard to handle those kind of activities. The story for that is a lot less clear. We would strongly recommend using supervised enrollments for that process.
Fair. And I think we're coming towards the end of our questions, but Corey asks, is it possible to set a specific install date and time instead of a window?
There is not. We are currently focused on windowed-based environment because we wanted these policies to be ongoing automations. And so ongoing automations are the most clear way to, help build good policies, so that you don't have to come back to these policies all the time, but really when you need it. And so, we didn't want to essentially say, all right, do a data override on all of these. That's something that we can consider. I'm certainly happy to talk about use case when it needs to be a specific date or a specific time.
Yeah, and of course, if you think of some questions between after listening to us talk, if you have any other questions, I think Tom already put his email out, but also the Slack Lounge, which is the button right. Is it here or here? I can never remember.
You had it right. You were right there.
Okay. Right there. Click on that button. Join us in the Slack Lounge. You can ping myself. You can ping Tom. You can ask the question, and we can make sure that we answer that the best as possible. I think you already have that question. Is there maximum time for the active? Tom's already on it.
I'm trying.
Well, and he's not even feeling good. He I think he ate something that was not too good, and we got the B- Tom Bridge today, which is I couldn't even tell.
Food poisoning is not fun, folks. Don't eat food. I think that's the example to take away from me today. I ate some food. I'm not feeling so great. I don't recommend eating food.
Yeah. Food bad, no food. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, hey, that takes us towards the end. I think I really want to appreciate everybody who came and who participated in the chat and asked a lot of questions. Again, this is not the end of questions. You can reach out to us in the Slack Lounge. You can reach out to Tom directly. We're in the Mac Admins Slack as well. If you don't want to join our Slack Lounge, I hang out there as well. So same with Tom. So feel free to hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Reddit, hit us up on Spiceworks, hit us up on Mac Admin, Slack Lounge, email, however you want, and we will be happy to answer your questions as it pertains to patch management or anything else in general. So next week, we will be right back into the swing of things with the IT Hour. So you can come find us again on the IT Hour main show, which will be February 11th. So we'll be back next week with some more community meetup updates, as well as some IT rapid fire. We're going to have some fun comments on those, as well as give out some prizes. So everyone, have a fantastic weekend, and thank you so much for coming. And we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Please subscribe and check out more content from us.